Okay. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has joined us. He's driving the number 88 Michael Baker International Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Dale, before I ask you about winning the race here in June, talk about the special paint scheme that you're running this weekend here at Pocono. It seems like a very, very cool initiative.
Sure. Basically, this would be a National Guard Youth Foundation race paint, and they gave it to Michael Baker International for their support of the foundation. And Michael Baker is a consultant firm, 6,000 employees, 90 offices, and they're based in Pittsburgh, so this is kind of their home track, I guess. But they support the Youth Foundation. The Youth Foundation basically helps high school dropouts sort of get back on track, and you know, they're doing tons and tons of good work there that we've been involved in for several years, ever since we started working with the Guard. So it's usually they get you know, the Guard uses the paint out, and we put the Guard Youth Foundation on the hood, but they wanted to show Michael Baker and those guys some appreciation for their support of the foundation. So it's pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Thank you very much. And as we said, Dale won this race in June. We'll take questions now. I think Woody Kane, raise your hand right behind you there, Zachary. We'll go Woody, and then we'll come over here to Claire B. Lang.
Woody Kane with MRN Dale. I was interested in something that you guys were talking about the other day with the announcement about Greg, about you guys playing fantasy football together and smack talking. Are you guys still playing and still doing that?
Yeah, we've been in this Hendrick League since the beginning. Since I started working there. Jimmy doesn't play. He's not much into fantasy football. And Jeff, I don't know that he I think he might play or be in a different league, but Casey plays. I don't know if he's going to join us this year. But it's mainly upper management, Doug, and a couple of those guys, some crew chiefs, and maybe engineer or two, or a little bit of everything, but it's fun. Yeah, we're about to crank back up. So I got 2 leagues that I run. I've already activated them, and Doug's the commissioner of this league at Hendrick, and he's not activated yet. He's a little lazy about that, but he's real good at writing the league note every week. So we'll just wait on him to get cranking and start getting after it.
We'll go to Claire. We'll go to Steve. Gentleman here. Tell me your name again. Scott, and then the young lady over to the left. Go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You tweeted this morning that you were looking for a broom coming here, which gave us a kick, and wondering about how good you'd be here this weekend. But with the announcement yesterday, are you just sort of in the race mode? Does it make you feel more hard about Steve, knowing that now it's you officially have another crew chief? Or now that it's over, is it kind of off your shoulders?
There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion. But every race gets a little bit harder knowing this is Steve's last year. And I know that going, winding down into the chase is going to get pretty emotional for both of us. But the one thing that I was probably most happy about or relieved about was to be able to make a decision, and just get it done. And I didn't want to be in the middle of, choosing that guy. I kind of want to just sit back and watch. I wanted Steve and Chad to really make that decision, with Doug sort of overseeing it and Rick having his blessing, and because those guys know the company so well and know the position so well, and I trust them to make the better decision than I could have made. So it was, I wondered, I just didn't want to have to sit there in limbo. I don't like being in limbo about nothing and having any kind of stuff up in the air. And so it was great to get, it was, number one, it was great to hear how confident Rick and Doug and Chad and all them were in this particular choice. And so that gets me excited, and I can get right behind that. I already know how good Greg is, but just knowing that Chad and everybody believes in that decision and thinks that we'll be even better off than we are today. That was one thing that I just thought we could focus on, and I hoped that we would focus on, is anytime you have an opportunity to fill a position or someone is leaving or retiring or moving on, is that you look at this as a chance to get better. Steve would want us to get better. We're not trying to photocopy Steve and plug in a guy just like him. We want to try to get better, and I think we have in making this decision. And I think that I haven't been able to really talk to the guys yet, but the ones that I have been able to comment and talk with, they feel like that's what we've done. Is we're going to be a better team for it once we get going next year. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big, big relief just to get it off my shoulders and not worry about who we're going to be working with, what kind of personality he's going to be, and whether we're going to get along or whether he's going to work and whether the chemistry will be good and the cars will be fast. Ain't got to worry. I mean, we don't have to really worry about that. So I feel good about it.
Go Steve, and then we'll go to Scott, young lady right here, and then to Jim.
Yeah, Steve Richards with PRN. Dale, with the way you ran here last time and what you learned last time, what are your chances of winning back-to-back races here?
Yeah, I think they're good. We were not the best car. I think the 2 was probably the best car. There's a couple guys that if they were in front of us, we probably weren't going to pass. But such is the case when we were in front of them. We had a really competitive car, but not the best car. And the best car doesn't always win, of course, but it certainly helps to be the fastest guy out there. You can definitely call a strategy a little bit different. So what we want is to find a little more speed than we had last time. Me and Steve talked about that particular thing, is we want to try to get a little bit better in practice so that we have a little more confidence. When I remember during the race weekend when we won here, we really didn't think we had the best car, and on Saturday at the debrief we were communicating about what we could do to get better, and we didn't go into the race thinking that we had a very, very, very good chance of winning. We were just going to try to do the best we could, and felt like we had a top 5 car, but there was certainly some guys much faster than us in practice. So we want to definitely find some speed on Saturday, and give ourselves a little more breathing room, a little more comfort and confidence going into the race. We're confident. Anything can happen here. You get out in front, it's going to be hard to pass. So, it's easy to pass and, from 15th on back. But, when you get up there and the competition gets so tough in the top 5, man, you just got to be in the lead or in second, somewhere around the top 3 or 4 even. On those last 2 restarts, the last restart, you need to be on the front row to have a real shot at it. Absolutely doable. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be doable.
All right, we got 4 more in the queue that we can take. Scott, Jim, the young lady over there, and then the young lady in the jean shirt.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Dale, when you won in June in the post-race press conference, you talked about how much it meant to you to win here because you came here as a kid and remember. Was there anything from those trips when you come in that really stands out? Any one particular memory? I presume from watching your dad race and everything here.
Yeah, I think it was 86 or 87 when him and Kawicki swapped the lead through the tunnel on the last lap or 2 laps to go or something. I was watching that from the infield with my buddy Scott Williams. He's Doug Williams' son. Doug used to be a crew chief in the garage. And we just thought that was so cool how I think the 7 got under Dad off of turn 1, and then Dad backed a corner up and passed him on the exit of the tunnel, which you saw that kind of a pass quite often back then with the cars, the way they drove and handled. I guess it was a little bit easier to do that, but I remember that race probably the most before I became a driver here. We came here several times, but yeah, that was cool. We got to go to Victor Lane, and that was that.
Go to Jim, and then the young lady over here on the left. Go ahead.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. On the conference call the other day, you said something to the effect of, I feel like I've got my mojo back, which I doubt anybody would disagree, but I'm just wondering, For you, what goes into that? Is it simply performing better each week? I mean, you have a lot of good things going on. Junior Motorsports is doing really good. What goes into you saying something like that?
The performance, just the performance of the Cup car on the racetrack. I've been, there's been times when the performance of the Cup car wasn't there, but other things in my life were going great, but none of that really mattered unless we're running good on Sunday. So that, I don't know whether that's the right way to. I don't know if I got my priorities in order or not, but performing well on Sundays is number one in my life. So, and that's probably the way it'll be till I'm not driving anymore. And so if that's not working for me and that's not going good, then everything else doesn't really matter. The rest of it can be as good as heck, but it doesn't replace what I'm missing when I'm not running well, and I need to run well. So that's once we started competing better and better and better, the confidence started building, and I think that the confidence has been there for some time now, maybe a year or two, maybe 3 even, and we're just now starting to really realize our full potential, I think. So trying to take advantage of that this year. But yeah, that's probably the most important thing to me, and the only thing, nothing else in my life, no matter how good it can get, can make up for the lack of performing on Sunday.
Over here to the far left, Dale, go ahead.
It's Candace.
Candace, thank
Candace
you.
with Drafting the Circuits. I have a question about piggybacking on what we were just talking about. I was here in June. You were in the media center for about an hour after the win. So relaxed, so eloquent, so relieved, and just really focused. We've seen since that a great show for you at Sonoma, which is some place that you mentioned in that interview about how it was always a stress and a pressure and everything, and then you went with no pressure and you did really well. So Watkins Glen is following this event. How do you feel you are prepared for that? How do you feel about and you keep mentioning it, just that confidence and that momentum and what's going on, but really about the road course?
Yeah, still, I think we're approaching it similar to Sonoma, where we ended up having a relatively good car in the race at Sonoma. That gives us a lot of confidence to go into the Glen. We didn't know that going into Sonoma, whether we were going to be good or not. We hadn't tested and done any of that homework, so we were just kind of basing off of what we learned from our teammates and what they did in testing and going off of their data and putting together a car we thought would be the best through that information. And it worked great, So we'll just, being that we're where we are in points and we're locked into the chase, it's definitely a lot of pressures off going into that race. It's not as important to try to go out there and just tally as many points as we can and try to finish as high as we can. We'll just go out there and run and have fun, try to limit mistakes on the track, and stay on the blacktop and try to finish and pass cars. And, who knows, we call a strategy right, get out front. I mean, I've ran better there, I think, than I have at Sonoma. There's been some times when we led some races outright, and legitimately qualified well and ran well. So I think I got a better shot at having a better performance there than I did at Sonoma. So very confident.
Looks like due to practice, this will be the final question. I apologize we couldn't get to everybody. Go ahead.
Hi, Dale. Taylor Sterling, WTBQ Radio, exclusive broadcasters for NASCAR in Orange County. So we did a shout-out to our listeners and asked them 2 questions they'd like to know. One was they all saw that YouTube where you were taken out of the car but nobody was holding you, and they were all very curious if you thought that was your dad.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that. I definitely thought that I was getting pulled out of the car, but looking at the pictures, there wasn't nobody around, so that was really eerie, and something I guess you'll never forget. But that whole experience, that whole day was weird, and to end up in the hospital overnight, burned all to heck, and having to go through that wasn't any fun at all. But yeah, that was pretty weird. I thought for sure, I told people for days that, man, I couldn't figure out how to get out of that car because I wasn't familiar with the window net and the door and all that stuff, and that you don't get out of them like a Cup car. And luckily, hitting the wall knocked the window net down and got a lot of things out of the way that would have been a problem for me to get out. So, but when I hopped up on the door collapsed because it was sort of melting, and I felt like somebody grabbed me and drugged me the rest of the way out. So I don't remember From the time I sat on the door and it cracked and busted to me being on the table in the infield care center, I don't really remember anything. So when I see pictures of myself sitting on the tailgate of this pickup truck, I'm like, I don't remember that. So I don't really know how I forgot all that or why that's missing from my memory, but it was a pretty crazy moment. Maybe I was in shock or something.
The other question they wanted to know is, with all the equipment that you wear inside the car, number one question women ask, how do you not want to go to the bathroom?
Well, you do go to the bathroom.
You do?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
you know, if you can hold it, you hold it. But, you know,
Well, you people are all laughing, but you're all asking the questions they want the answers to. I'm just asking you
Yeah.
what the listeners are asking.
Sure, certainly, yeah. You just go. If you can't hold it, you go. It's not too often that this happens because the car's real hot and you sweat a lot and you basically lose all your water weight through sweating, so your bladder never fills up. But if you get nervous, if it's a hot day and you get real nervous before the race and you drink too much water because you think you think you're gonna dehydrate, you typically end up having to go to the bathroom before you even get the green flag. So. You just have to be careful. It's not to drink too much water. All the water you're going to lose and all the water that's in your body is something you put in there throughout the week. If you drink a lot of water right before an activity, it's typically not going to help you. It's just going to go in your gut and then go in your bladder. So, but sometimes you make that mistake and you just got to go. You just go. It's no big deal.
Thank you. I'll bring that
Yep.
message back.
No
Dale,
problem.
thank you for
Thank you.
explaining that so eloquently to us. Good luck this weekend.